Hey everybody, Mrs. Bianchi. We're looking at number 9, and I'm not going to lie, I don't really like this question, but we'll work through it. Paresh and Archie collect a total of 72 comic books. At first, the ratio of Paresh's comic books to Archie's comic books is a 5 to 3. So let's put those numbers in our table here to organize that Paresh to Archie ratio. But before we do, let's read it carefully again to make sure that we have the correct order, because we always want to find that word to and see who's first. So we have Paresh first and then Archie. So that means this is Paresh's number and this is Archie's number. So let's put it in the table. It's a 5 to 3. All right. Now, one of the things that a lot of students don't do that you should be in the habit of doing is figuring out what's the total number of comic books that we're talking about here with the simple ratio. In other words, what's this plus this? If we add these two numbers together, we're going to get 8. All right, now what makes this question hard is that they do give us this statement up here, that they collect a total of 72 comic books. So that number has to go right here, that's a total. Now what we should do is ask ourselves, does 8 times anything equal 72? And hopefully in your head you're saying it's times 9. So let's take, if we're multiplying this times 9, let's take this and multiply it by 9. And let's take this and multiply it by 9. So we have some numbers to look at for the bigger numbers. So what's 3 times 9? That would be 27. And what's 5 times 9? That would be 45. So we just want to make sure that if we add these two numbers together, these two green numbers, just make sure that it equals 72 to make sure that you didn't make a mistake. All right, now, the thing I don't like about this question is this little nugget right here. So this is what it says, the at first ratio. But then Paresh is giving 6 of his comic books to Archie. So if he's going to give 6 of them away to Archie, doesn't that mean that we're going to be subtracting 6 from Paresh because we're taking them away from him, but we're giving them to Archie? So that means we need to do these operations to get 2 new numbers. So we're going to have to find what 45 minus 6 is and have that number. And we have to find what 27 plus 6 and get that number. All right. So once you have those numbers, which we're going to come back to in a second, let's make sure we understand that we have to pick the true statements here. And there's going to be more than one. All right, so let's go through the first one. At first, Paresh has 27 comic books and Archie has 45 comic books. Is that true? Does Paresh have 27 comic books? Who has 27? Isn't it Archie? It's not Paresh, right? Archie has 45. Is that true? It doesn't look like that's true because it's backwards. Let's look at the second statement. At first, Paresh has 18 more comic books than Archie. So is this number, so Archie has this number, right? 27. If we add 18 more implies adding 18. If we add 18, does that match this number right here? So if you're saying, you know what, it does, then that's one you're going to pick because that would be true. If you add it up and you say, no, that doesn't equal that number, then don't pick that one. All right, now this is where this part gets a little bit dicey because this is after the giveaway, right? We have the comic books that we're giving away. So have you done the math yet on this? Have you done the 45 minus 6 and come up with the number? And this is going to be the number that Paresh now has. So after Paresh gives Archie 6 comic books, Archie has 33 comic books. So is that correct? All right, so again, make sure you apply, the minus 6 and the plus 6 to the numbers. And then after Paresh gives Archie 5 comic books, the ratio of Paresh's comic books to Archie's comic books is 5 to 6. So now if we're going to be giving 5 comic books, does that change? Should we be changing this to a minus 5? And does that mean, is he giving them to Archie? So does that become a plus 5? And when you look at these numbers that you're now going to have that are be a little bit different, does that follow that 5 to 6 ratio? So, look for the word to, right? Look for the word to. So it's Paresh's comic books to Archie's comic books, and ask yourself if that ratio, when we apply the 5 comic book thing, is true. All right, so I'm not a fan of the wording. I don't like the fact that they're changing numbers. Here we're talking about 6 comic books. Here we're talking about 5. It's a little bit of a hot mess, but just make sure you carefully read everything carefully. Ask yourself what the numbers would be, and just read it a couple of times. All right, good luck finishing this up.